Now we shall talk about the general characters of class Aves here now. The Aves evolved from theropod and ornithischian dinosaurs. Theropod and ornithischian dinosaurs during Jurassic period gave rise to birds. During Jurassic period gave rise to birds. And during Cretaceous period, birds acquired modern flight characters. Modern flight characters. During Cretaceous, birds acquired modern flight characters. Huxley called birds glorified reptiles. Thomas Huxley called birds glorified reptiles. J. Z. Young called birds masters of air. J. Z. Young called the birds masters of air. Colbert called birds glorified archosaurians. Colbert called the birds glorified archosaurians. I know very well Salim Ali is called Birdman. Salim Ali is considered as Birdman or father of ornithology. The exoskeleton in birds is feathers, scales, then sheath and preen gland. The exoskeleton in birds, feathers are present all over the body, scales are present on the legs and there is a preen gland, an oil gland called preen gland is present. Apart from that, there is a sheath that covers the beak. The sheath that covers the beak is called rhamphotheca. The sheath that covers the beak is called rhamphotheca. And the only oil gland present in birds is called preen gland. It is also called uropygeal gland. It is also called uropygeal gland, lies at the base of the tail here now. It secretes an oily substance called pomatum. Secretes an oily substance called pomatum that helps in preening here now. Preen gland is present only in flight birds, absent in flightless birds, except Tynamus and kiwi. Tynamus and kiwi are the only flightless birds with preen gland here now. If you observe the modifications in the endoskeleton of birds now, in all birds, skull is monocondylic. Skull is monocondylic and sutureless. In all other vertebrates, skull is sutured, whereas in birds to withstand pressure during flight, it is sutureless. The vertebrae are heterocoelous. The vertebrae are heterocoelous. The vertebrae are heterocoelous And in birds first thoracic, 6 lumbar, 2 sacral and 4 to 5 caudal vertebrae. On the back 1 thoracic, 6 lumbar, 2 sacral and 4 to 5 caudal vertebrae. All of them are fused to form a complex bone called synsacrum. A complex bone that lies on the back called synsacrum. Synsacrum gives support to pelvic girdle. It lies between the two halves of pelvic girdle and thereby strengthens the pelvic girdle. The last caudal vertebrae, about 4 to 5 terminal caudal vertebrae are fused to form pygostyle. Are fused to form a small peg-like structure called pygostyle. that provides surface with attachment of tail feathers called rectrices. Pygostyle is commonly called plowshare bone. It's commonly called plowshare bone. It provides surface for the tail feathers called rectrices. The long bones are without bone marrow. The long bones, the limb bones, are without bone marrow due to the presence of air spaces. Hence, they are said to be pneumatic. Pneumatic bones are present due to extension of air spaces. To reduce the body weight, bone marrow is absent in the long limb bones. Then, carpometacarpus, tarsometatarsus, tibiotarsus fibula, carpometacarpus, tarsometatarsus and tibiotarsus fibula are important modifications in the limbs in the limb bones to suit the flying habitat, volant habitat. Like carpals and metacarpals are fused to form a complex structure. Tarsals, distal tarsals and metatarsals are fused to form a complex structure in hind limbs. Tibiotarsus fibula, that is the tarsus and the fibula, the proximal tarsals and fibula of the shank are fused to form tibiotarsus fibula. So all these complex bones, enable them to flight. Enable them to fly without any resistance, during flight. The other modifications in the endoskeleton, furcula, presence of furcula is also one of the unique characters. Furcula is formed by fusion of clavicles and interclavicles. It is a V-shaped structure, lies in the sternal region. It provides surface for the flight muscles. It is commonly called merry thought or lucky bone or wishbone. Another important characteristic feature noticed in the endoskeleton, sternum is boat shaped and it is provided with a ridge-like structure along the midventral side called keel or carina. Keel is also called carina. This keel or carina also provides surface for the flight muscles. It is well developed in flight birds, raft-like or reduced in flightless birds. Due to the presence of well developed keel, flight birds are also called carinates. Because of raft-like and reduced keel, flightless birds are also called ratitae. Then in birds, in flight birds, 2 to 5 thoracic vertebrae are fused to form a complex structure called a girdle-like structure. That girder gives support to wings during flight. The flight muscles of birds pectoralis major. This pectoralis major forms 1/3 of the body weight of birds. It arises from the keel and it passes through the foramen trioceum attached to the inner surface of the humerus bone. It arises from the keel, extends across the body, passing through the foramen trioceum attached to inner surface of the humerus bone. So when the pectoralis major contracts, wings are pushed downwards, wings are pulled downwards, body is pushed upwards, hence they are also called elevators. These muscles, when they contract, the wings are pulled downwards, body is pushed upwards, hence they are called elevators. Then another muscle, pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor also arises from the clavicle, arises from the keel part, and they are attached to the upper surface of the humerus bone, and when they contract, wings are elevated upwards and the body is depressed downwards. Since they facilitate upward strokes of wings and push the body downwards, they are called depressors. That is, they facilitate upward strokes of wings and they facilitate downward strokes of wings. Pectoralis major facilitates downward strokes of wings. Pectoralis minor facilitates upward strokes of wings. Another important point, MSET point of view, another example, remember, pectoralis major passes through foramen trioceum, which is formed between the two clavicles of the furcula and the pectoral girdle. Then apart from this, there are tensor patagy muscles. Tensor patagy muscles help in clasping the twigs while resting on the branches of the trees. They help in holding the twigs tight while resting on the branches of the trees. Coracobrachialis longens. Coracobrachialis brevis. Coracobrachialis longens and Coracobrachialis brevis they help in rotation of the wings in the glenoid cavity during flight. Extensors and flexors help in stretching and folding of the wings. Extensor and flexor patagial muscles help in extension and folding of the wings. So these are the important flight muscles. Pectoralis major, commonly called elevators, they facilitate downward strokes of wings. Pectoralis minor, they are commonly called depressors, they facilitate upward strokes of wings. Tensor patagy help in clasping the twigs at the time of resting. Coracobrachialis longens and Coracobrachialis brevis, they help in rotation of the wings in the glenoid cavity. And extensor and flexors help in stretching and folding of the wings. Okay, then all the muscles in the birds are called red muscles because they are deposited with respiratory pigment called myoglobin, which enables them to fly even at high altitudes so that they never fall short of oxygen during flight at high altitudes.